The fall season means a lot of fall flavor in the 608, especially when it comes to all things apple.
Yeah, and we're not talking just about the usual apple picking here. Josh Breiter checked out the Cider Farm southwest of Madison to learn more about the process. Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys. Good morning. A lot of interesting stuff about the process, too. Some Madisonians may be familiar with the Cider Farm tasting room off of Watts Road. So photographer Mark Schilling and I took a trip to the actual farm in Iowa County to see where it all starts before you, the consumer, get to enjoy. We're coming to you from the Cider Farm just outside of Mineral Point this morning. It is such a beautiful atmosphere. I want to bring in Deirdre Birmingham. She and her husband run this farm, and you've been running this for close to 20 years now?
Yes, we started in 2003. We decided then that we wanted to grow apples organically to make fine ciders, called hard ciders in America. And we learned that you make cider like a wine. So we set out to make a fine cider. You don't make any old wine just out of any old grape. So we decided to find the wine grapes of apples. And we learned the English and the French in particular, developed varieties meant for fermenting. And so we thought, we'll buy those trees. And then we quickly learned you can't buy those trees commercially in the U.S. So in 2003, we took a class on grafting. That's the process of learning to make horticultural plants and trees. And so we started out very slowly and deliberately making the varieties that we thought would lead towards a fine cider and apple brandy.
And here you are now. How many trees do you have on your property?
We're a little too busy to count, but it's somewhere between around 16,000, and we'll probably put another 1,000 in this fall.
Wow. And so these are the apples that you would not just take off the tree and eat?
Right. So we have two varieties that we use for blending, but we focus on tannic apple varieties because those are very rare in the U.S. I can't go buy those from another grower.
So what kind of apples do you have out here? You can even show us if you'd like to here.
Yeah, so I'll show you an English variety called Chiseled Jersey, and it is quite tannic. You might call it a spitter if you were to find like a wild apple tree out in a pasture someplace. People talk about spitters, but it is quite astringent in the mouth. It can be, some of our varieties are even a little bitter because tannins in their raw state can have those properties, but you drink them in the glass. So that's where they shine, is the kind of quality, the mouthfeel, the texture, the complexity in your mouth that these can give. So it's been a learning process ever since we started in 2003, still learning how to grow these very unusual varieties organically in our challenging Midwest conditions. But we see the proof in the product. So we do drier ciders. We want people to experience the apple and these varieties that we put into them.
So you guys also do tours. We're going to actually talk a little bit more about that coming up in our next segment, as far as tasting too. So we'll look forward to that coming up here in our next half hour. If you'd like to learn more about the Cider Farm process, you can go to channel3000.com. I tell you what, guys, I learned so much in just a few minutes that I was there, and a lot of stuff that I just never really thought of when it came to cider. I know a lot about wine, I know a lot about beer, but the cider process, pretty similar. You know, she talked about how, you know, making cider is basically like the wine grapes of apples. It's kind of the same process. You go through all of that, and obviously this is a big time of year because they're harvesting all those apples off the trees.
Did you taste any of the spitter apples?
So, I did not. I don't even know exactly which one. You know, they have so many of them, but that's the other thing too, is I'm so used to going to the apple orchard and just grabbing an apple off the tree and eating it. I know, and she's like, don't do that. That's one of the things she tells people when they come out to the tours, is they're just not meant for that. They're not going to taste good, but they're going to taste great once you get them into the cider. So pretty cool to see how much goes into that. And I mean, 16,000 trees, guys. Can you think of that? And they're going to plant another 1,000 this fall. So pretty cool place down there. I mean, beautiful down there in Iowa County. I know Leah's kind of biased there, but
Mineral Point is also just unparalleled. It is. I love that town so much. It's stunning down there.
Yeah, definitely worth checking it out. We'll talk a little bit more about the tours that you can actually enjoy and see the farms for yourself coming up here around 6:45.
All right, Josh Breiter, thank you very much.
Remember to let Josh know what inspires you in the 608. Reach out on social media. He'd love to hear from you. You can find him at Josh Breiter TV or in the 608 at WICTV.com.